Where's your tobacco?
I think I left it on the table.
Ah,
Gonna rain tonight.
yeah, papers say so.
Right here.
Well, then it can't rain.
Hiya.
Hello, Frank. What's doing?
Nothing. Just walking off my breakfast. That beautiful? Not a cloud.
Yeah, nice.
Every Sunday ought to be like this.
Yeah. You want the paper?
Nah, what's the difference? It's all bad news. What's today's calamity?
I don't know. I don't read the news part anymore. It's more interesting in the want ads.
Why? Trying to buy something?
No, I just like to see what people want, you know? For instance, here's a guy looking for 2 Newfoundland dogs. Now, what's he gonna do with 2 Newfoundland dogs?
That is funny.
Here's another one. Wanted. Old dictionaries. High prices paid. Now, what's a man gonna do with an old dictionary?
Why not? Probably a book collector.
You mean he'll make a living out of that?
Sure, there's a lot of them.
All the kinds of business going on. In my day, you were a doctor, a lawyer, or you worked in a shop. Now,
Well, I was going to be a forester once.
well, that just goes to show. In my day, there was no such thing. You read a page like this and you realize how ignorant you are.
Hey, what happened to your tree?
Ah, the wind must have got it last night. Ain't that awful?
Yeah, got a mess in my yard too. What a pity. What'd Kate say?
I don't know. Just waiting for her to see it. She's still in bed.
You know, it's funny.
What?
Larry was born in August. He'd been 27 this month and his tree blows down.
I'm surprised you remember his birthday. That's nice.
Well, I'm working on his horoscope.
How can you make him a horoscope? That's for the future, ain't it?
Well, what I'm doing is this, see. He was reported missing on November 25th, right?
Yeah?
Well, then we assume that if he was killed, it was on November 25th. Now, what Kate wants to find out is...
Oh, Kate asked you to make a horoscope?
Yeah. What she wants to find out is whether November 25th was a favorable day for Larry.
What is that? Favorable day.
Well, a favorable day is a fortunate day, according to his stars. In other words, it'd be practically impossible for a man to have died on his favorable day.
Well, was that his favorable day, November 25th?
It's what I'm working on to find out. It takes time. See, the point is, if that was his favorable day, then it's completely possible he's alive somewhere. Because I mean it's possible. I didn't even see you there.
Is he talking sense?
Him, he's all right. He's just completely out of his mind, is all.
The trouble with you is you don't believe in anything.
Oh, and the trouble with you is that you believe in anything. You haven't seen my boy around this morning, have you?
No.
Imagine, walked off with his thermometer right out of his bag.
What a problem. One look at a girl and he takes her temperature.
That boy's going to be a real doctor one day.
Ow,
He's smart.
my dead body, he'll be a doctor, and it's a good start, too.
Why? It's an honorable profession.
Oh, Frank, will you stop talking like a civics book?
You know, I saw a movie the other day and it made me think of you. There was a doctor in that.
Don Amici.
I think it was, yeah. And he worked in his basement discovering things, and that's what you ought to do. You could help humanity.
Oh, well, I would love to help humanity on a Warner Brothers salad.
That's very good, Frank.
So where's the beautiful girl supposed to be here?
Oh, Annie came?
Yeah, sleeping upstairs. Picked her up on the 1 o'clock train last night. Wonderful thing. Girl leaves here, a scrawny kid. Couple of years go by, she's a regular woman. Hardly recognized her, and she was running in and out of this yard all her life. That was a very happy family used to live in your house, Jim.
Well, I would like to meet her. The neighborhood could use a pretty girl, and the whole block there's not a damn thing to look at it. Except my wife, of course.
Mrs. Adams is on the phone, you dog.
Such is the condition which prevails. My love, my life.
Don't go sniffing around me and give her a nasty answer. I can smell her perfume over the telephone.
Well, what's the matter with her now?
I don't know, dear. She sounds as if she's in terrible pain. Either that or her mouth's full of candy.
Why don't you just ask her to lay down?
Oh, she likes it better when you tell her to lay down. And when are you going to see Mr. Hubbard?
My dear, I keep telling you that Mr. Hubbard is not sick. I have better things to do than to sit around and hold his hand.
Oh, he's Seems to me for $10 you could hold his hand.
If your son would like to play golf, tell him that I am ready. Or if he would like to take a trip around the world for about the next 30 years.
Why do you needle him, Sue? He's a doctor. Women are supposed to call him up.
All I said was Mrs. Adams was on the phone. Can I have some of your parsley?
Yeah, sure. You were a nurse too long, Susie. You're too realistic.
Now you said it.
Frank the toaster! Hiya. Frank the toaster's off again.
We'll plug it in, I just fixed it.
Please, dear, fix it back like it was before.
I don't know why you can't learn to turn on a simple thing like a toaster.
Thomas Edison.
It's really very handy. Did the wind get your tree?
Yeah, last night.
What a pity. Did Annie get in?
Yeah, she'll be down soon. Wait till you meet her, Sue. She's a knockout.
Oh, I should have been a man. People are always introducing me to beautiful women. Well, tell her to come by. Imagine she'd like to see what we've done with her place. Thanks.
Is she still unhappy, Joe?
Annie? Why, I don't suppose she's going around dancing on her toes, but she seems to be over it.
Is she gonna get married? Is there anybody?
I suppose. Say it's been a couple of years already. Girl can't mourn a boy forever.
It's so strange. Annie's here and not even married, and I have 3 babies. I always thought it would be the other way around.
Well, that's what a war does. I had 2 sons, now I've got 1. It changed all the tallies. In my day, when you had a son, it was an honor. Now, a doctor could make $1 million if he could figure out how to bring a boy into the world without a trigger finger.
You know, I was just reading about this boy. Hiya, Chris.
Lydia, come in here. If you want the toaster to work, don't plug in the malted mixer.
Did I?
And the next time I fix something, don't tell me I'm crazy. Now come in here.
Never gonna get the end of this one.
What's the difference, Frank? Instead of toast, have a malted. You want the paper?
No, that's all right. Just the book section.
You're always reading the book section and you never buy a book.
I like to keep abreast of my ignorance.
What is that? Every week a new book comes out?
Lots of new books.
All different.
All different.
Hey, Annie up yet?
Mother's giving her breakfast in the dining room.
You see what happened to the tree?
Yeah.
What's Mother going to say? What is she going to say? Maybe we ought to tell her before she sees it.
She saw it.
How? I was the first one up. She was still in bed.
She was out here when it broke.
When?
About 4 this morning, I heard it cracking and woke up and looked out, and she was standing right here when it cracked.
What was she doing up at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know. When it broke, she cried and ran back into the kitchen.
Did you talk to her?
No, I figured it was best to leave her alone.
She cried hard?
And I could hear her right through the floor of my room.
What was she doing out here at that hour? She's dreaming about him again. She's walking around at night.
Yes, she is.
She's getting just like after he died. What's the meaning of that?
I don't know the meaning of it, Dad, but know one thing, we made a terrible mistake with Mother.
What?
Being dishonest with her. You know Larry's not coming back, I know it. Why do we allow her to go on thinking that we believe it with her?
What do you mean dishonest?
I mean, that kind of thing always pays off, and now it's paying off.
What do you want to do? Argue with her?
I don't want to argue with her. But it's time she realizes that nobody believes that Larry's alive anymore. Why shouldn't she walk the nights waiting for him? Why shouldn't she dream of him? Do we contradict her? Do we tell her that we have no hope anymore? That we haven't had any hope in years?
You can't say that to her.
We've got to say it to her.
How are you gonna prove it? Can you prove it?
For God's sakes, 3 years. Nobody comes back after 3 years. It's insane.
Well, to you it is, and to me, but not to her. You can talk yourself blue in the face, but there's no body and there's no grave, so where are you?
Sit down, Dad. I want to talk to you.
Trouble is, the goddamn newspapers. Every month a new boy turns up from nowhere. So the next one's gonna be Larry.
All right, all
So-
right. Listen to me. You know why I asked Annie here, don't you?
Why?
You know.
Well, I have an idea, but what's the story?
I was going to ask her to marry me.
Well, that's only your business, Chris.
You know it's not only my business.
Well, what do you want me to do? You're old enough to know your own mind?
Then it's all right. I'll just go ahead with it.
Well, you want to make sure Mother...
Yeah, then it isn't only my business.
I'm just saying.
You know, sometimes you infuriate me. Isn't it your business too if I tell Mother and she throws a fit about it? You have such a talent for ignoring things.
I ignore what I gotta ignore. The girl is Larry's girl.
She's not Larry's girl.
From Mother's point of view, he is not dead. And you have no right to take his girl. Now, what can I do for you?
I don't know why it is, but every time I reach out for something that I want, I have to pull back because somebody else might suffer. Oh, bloody life, time after time after time.
You're a considerate fella. There's nothing wrong in that.
To hell with that.
Did you ask Annie yet?
No, I wanted to get this settled first.
How do you know she'll marry you? Maybe she feels the same way Mother does.
Well, if she does, then that's the end of it. From her letters, I think she's forgotten Larry. I'll find out. Then we'll thrash it out with Mother later. Right, Dad? Don't avoid me.
The trouble is, you don't see enough women. You never did.
So what? I'm not fast with women.
I don't see why it has to be Annie.
You know, because it is.
Well, that's a good answer, but it don't answer anything. You haven't seen her since you went to war. It's been 5 years.
Can't help it. I was brought up right next door to her. Here's when I think of somebody for my wife, I think of Annie. I don't know, what do you want, a diagram?
I don't want a diagram, Chris. But, look, she thinks he's coming back. You marry that girl and you're pronouncing him dead. Now what's going to happen to Mother? Do you know? I don't. All right, then, Dad. Give it some more thought.
I've given it 3 years of thought. I'd hope that if I waited, then Mother would forget Larry and we could have a regular wedding and everything happy, but no, if that can't happen here, then I'll have to get out.
What the hell is this?
I'll get out. I'll get married and live someplace else. Maybe New York.
Are you crazy?
Been a good son too long, and good sucker. I'm through with it.
You've got a business here.
The business. The business doesn't inspire me.
Must you be inspired?
Yeah, I like it an hour a day, but if I have to grub for money, at least in the evening, I want it beautiful. I want a family. I want some kids. I want to build something I give myself to. Annie's in the middle of that. Now, where do I find that?
You mean, tell me something. You mean you leave the business?
Yeah, on this, I would.
Well, you don't want to think like that.
Then, just help me stay here.
All right, but don't think like that, because what the hell did I work for, Chris? The whole thing is for you. The whole shooting match is for you.
I know that, Dad. Just help me stay here.
All right, but don't think that way. You hear me?
I am thinking like that.
I don't understand you, do I?
Oh, you don't. I'm a pretty tough guy.
I can see that.
Joe, did you take a bag from under the sink?
Yeah, I put it in the pail.
Get it out of the pail. That's my potatoes.
I thought it was garbage.
Do me a favor, Joe. Don't be helpful.
I can afford another bag of potatoes.
Well, Minnie scoured this pail in boiling water last night. It's cleaner than your teeth.
And I don't see why. After I worked 40 years and hired a maid, why I have to take out the garbage.
Well, if you'd make up your mind that not every bag in the kitchen is full of garbage, you wouldn't be taking out my vegetables now, would you?
I don't like garbage in the
Last
house.
time, it was the onions.
I don't like garbage in the house.
Don't eat.
That settles you for today.
I'm in last place again. I don't know. Once upon a time, I used to think, if I got money again, I'd hire a maid and my wife would take it easy. Now I got money and I got a maid and my wife is working for the maid.
It's her day off. What are you crabbing about?
Isn't Annie finished eating yet?
Oh, she'll be right out. Ooh, the wind did some job on this place, huh? So much for that tree, thank God.
Sit down, take it easy.
Oh, got the funniest pain on the top of my head.
Can I get you an aspirin?
Oh, no more roses. You know, everything decides to happen at the same time. This month is his birthday, his tree blows down, Annie comes. It's like everything that happened is coming back. I was just down in the cellar, and what do I stumble over? His baseball glove. I haven't seen it in a century.
Oh, don't you think Annie looks well?
Oh, fine, no doubt about it. She's a beauty. I'm still not sure what brought her here, though. Not that I'm not glad to see her, but you know.
Well, I just thought that we'd like to see each other again, and I'd like to see her myself.
Except I think her nose got longer. But I'll always love that girl, you know. She's one that didn't jump into bed with someone else as soon as it happened with her fella.
What are you
Never
talking?
mind. You know, some of them didn't even wait till the telegrams were opened. But I'll always love her. I'm really glad she's here because you can now see that I'm not that crazy.
Just because she isn't married doesn't mean she's mourning Larry.
Why then isn't she?
I don't know, it could be any number of reasons.
Like what, for instance?
I don't know, whatever it is. Can I get you that aspirin?
Yeah, but it's not like a headache.
You don't sleep, that's why. She wears out more bedroom slippers than shoes.
I had a terrible night last night. I've never had a night like that, Chris.
What was it, Mom? Did you dream?
More. It was more than a dream.
About Larry?
I was fast asleep and you remember how he used to fly low past the house when he's in training? And we could see his face in the cockpit going by? Well, that was how I saw him. Only way, way up where the clouds are. Oh, he was so real I could reach out and touch him. And then suddenly he started to fall and he was crying to me. Mom! Mom! It was like he was in the room. Mom! It was his voice. And then I woke up and came downstairs and the wind, it was roaring like his engine. And it sounded like he was flying by and then the tree snapped right in front of me and I came awake. See? It was too soon to plant a tree. I said we shouldn't plant it yet.
Too soon?
Too soon. Yes, we rushed into it. I told you. Everyone was in such a hurry to plant it. I told you not to
Mother!
plant that tree. I said it was...
Mother! The wind blew it down. What significance is that, God? What are you talking about? Please don't go through it all again. It doesn't accomplish anything. Say, I'm thinking that maybe it's time we put our minds to forgetting Larry.
That's the third time you've said that this week.
Because it's no good. It's not right. We never took up our lives again. We're like at a railroad station waiting for a train that never comes in.
Give me that aspirin.
Sure. And let's break out of this, eh, Mom? I thought the four of us might go to dinner a couple nights this week and maybe go dancing at the shore.
Yeah, sure. We can do that tonight, huh?
Swell with me.
Sure, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
You'll start with this aspirin.
Why did you invite her here?
Why does that bother you?
She lives In New York, 3.5 years she's been in New York. Why did she come all of a sudden?
Well, maybe he just wanted to see her again.
No one comes 700 miles just to see.
What do you mean? He lived next door to that girl all his life. Why wouldn't he want to see her again? Don't look at me like that, Kate. He didn't tell me anything more than he told you.
He's not gonna marry her.
How do you know he's even thinking about it?
Well, it's got that about it.
So what?
What's going on here, Joe?
Oh, listen.
She's not his girl and she knows she's not.
You can't read her mind.
Okay, why is she still single? New York is full of men. Why isn't she married? Probably 100 people told her she's foolish, but she's waited.
How do you know why she waited?
Because she knows what I know, that's why. She's faithful as a rock. In my worst times, I think of her waiting, and I know again that I'm right.
Look, it's a nice day. What are we arguing?
Nobody in this house does take her faith away, Joe. Not his father and not his brother.
What do you want me to do? What do you want?
I want you to act like he's coming back, both of you.
But Kate!
Don't think I haven't noticed you since he invited her here. I won't stand for any nonsense, Joe.
Kate!
Because if he's not coming back, I'll kill myself.
Ha!
Laugh. But why did that happen the very night she came back? Yeah, laugh, but there are meanings in such things, Joe. She spends one night in his bedroom and his memorial breaks in pieces. Look at it. Look, Joe.
Calm yourself.
Just last week, there was an article in the newspaper about a man missing longer than Larry. He turned up in Detroit. You read it yourself.
Calm
Stay
yourself.
with me, Joe.
All right. Calm
Calm
yourself.
You above all people have got to believe.
Why me above all?
Just believe with me, Joe.
What does that mean, me above all? Look at you. Look at you shaking.
I can't help it.
What have I got to hide? What the hell's the matter with you, Kate?
I didn't say you had anything to hide. I'm just telling you to stop it. Now, stop it.
Hiya, Joe.
Take a breath of that air, kid. We'll get air like that in New York.
Addie, where did you get that dress?
Oh, I couldn't resist. I'm taking it right off before I ruin it. How's that for 3 weeks' salary?
Isn't she the most... It's gorgeous.
No kidding. Isn't she the prettiest gal you've ever seen?
You gained a little weight, didn't you, dear?
Oh, we
Look how nice her legs turned out.
What topics didn't they? Look at the poplars. You're out thick, huh?
It's been 3 years. We're getting old, kid.
How's your mother doing in New York, Annie?
Why'd they take our hammock away?
Nah, that broke a couple of years ago.
What broke? He flopped into it after one of his light lunches.
Oh! Excuse me.
How do you do? She looks very intelligent.
And this is Jim, Dr. Bayless.
Oh, sure. He writes a lot about you.
Well, don't believe anything he says. He likes everybody. You know, in the battalion, he was known as Mother McKellar.
Oh, I can believe that. So, you know, it's so strange seeing him come out of that yard. Well, I guess I never grew up. Almost seems like Mom and Pop are in there now. And you and my brother doing algebra and Larry trying to copy my homework. Gosh. Those dear dead days beyond recall.
Well, I hope that doesn't mean that you want me to move out.
Jim, Mr. Hubbard is on the phone.
Susie, I told you I don't want to talk to you.
Please, Jim, please.
Yes, Susie, yes. And if I've only just met you, but if I may offer you a piece of advice, when you marry, never, not even in your mind, never count your husband's money.
Jim!
At once! At once!
Hey, I told her to take up the guitar. What? It'll be a common interest for them. He really loves the guitar.
Oh, let's see to the shore tonight. Raise some hell around here like we used to before Larry went.
Oh, you think of him, see? She thinks of him.
What do you mean, Kate?
Nothing. You know, just that you remember him, he's in your mind.
It's a funny thing to say. How could I help remembering him?
Did you put your things away?
Yeah, well, say, you sure got into clothes. I could hardly find room in the closet.
Oh, no. Don't you remember? That's Larry's room.
Oh, you mean they're Larry's?
Well, didn't you recognize them?
Well, it never occurred to me that you'd... I mean, the shoes are all shined.
Yes, dear. Annie, oh, I've been aching to have a nice conversation with you for so long. Come on, dear, and tell me something.
What?
I don't know, something nice.
She means do you go out much?
Oh, shut up.
And are any of them serious?
Well, no.
Annie, you can't go into a restaurant anymore with that woman. In 5 minutes, 39 strangers are sitting at the table telling her their life story.
Well, if I can't ask Annie a personal question.
Well, asking is all right, but don't beat her on the head. You're beating her.
Oh,
You're beating
don't
her.
let me bulldoze you. Ask me anything you like.
Okay.
What do you want to know, Kate? Come on, let's gossip.
See, Annie's the only one with any sense around here. So your mother, she's not getting a divorce now, huh?
No. She's calmed down about it now. I think when he gets out, they'll probably live together in New York, of course.
Oh, well, that's very nice, because your father, he's still, I mean, after all is said and done, he's still a decent man.
Oh, I don't care. She can take him back if she likes.
And, you go out much?
You mean, am I still waiting for him?
Oh, no, I don't expect you to wait for him, but
That's what you mean, isn't it?
well, yes.
Well, I'm not, Kate.
You're not?
Well, isn't it ridiculous? Like, you don't really
I
imagine.
know, but don't say it's ridiculous, dear, because the papers were full of it. I mean, I don't know about New York, but last week there was a half page about a man missing longer than Larry, and he turned up in Burma.
He couldn't have wanted to come home very badly, Mom.
Don't be so smart.
Yeah, you can have a hell of a time in Burma.
So I've heard.
Mother, I bet you money that you're the only woman in the country who after 3 years
Are
is still...
you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, if you're sure, then you're sure. I know they don't say it on the radio, but I'm sure that in the dark at night, all of those mothers are waiting for their sons.
Mother, you absolutely just...
Annie. I know that deep in your heart, you've always been waiting for him.
No, Kate.
But deep,
She ought to know, shouldn't she?
don't listen to them. Listen to your heart, and only your heart.
Why does your heart tell you he's alive?
Because he has to
Well, but
be.
why, Kate?
Because certain things have to be, and certain things can never be. Like the sun has to rise, it has to be. That's why there's God. Otherwise, anything could happen, but there's God, so certain things can never happen. I would know, Annie, like I knew the day he went into that terrible battle. Did he write me? No. Was it in the papers? No. But somehow, I just knew. That morning I couldn't raise my head off the pillow. Ask Joe. Suddenly, I just knew. And that day, he was nearly killed. Annie, you know I'm right.
No, Kate.
I have to get some tea.
Annie, how are you? Liz.
Frank, you look like a beatnik.
Yeah, he's got his head in the clouds.
Gee whiz.
Without Frank, the stars wouldn't know when to come out.
You look more womanly. You've matured. You look...
Hey, take it easy, Frank. You're a married man.
You still have a death me?
Why not? Maybe I, too, can get to be president. How's your brother? Got his degree, I hear?
Oh, George has his own office now.
Don't say. And your father? Is he doing...
Fine. I'll be in to see Lydia.
How about it? Does he expect a parole soon?
Well, I really don't know.
Because I feel that, if an intelligent man like your father is put in prison, there ought to be a law that says either you execute him or you let him go after a year.
Hey, Frank, you want a hand with that ladder?
No, that's okay. I'll just, I'll finish that horoscope tonight, Kate.
Thank you.
See you later, Anne. You look wonderful.
Haven't they stopped talking about Dad?
No, Nobody talks about him anymore.
Gone and forgotten,
Well,
kid.
tell me, because I don't want to meet anybody on the
No.
block if we're
I
gonna.
don't want you to worry about it.
Do they still remember the case, Joe? Do they talk about you?
The only one who still talks about it is my wife.
Well, that's because you keep playing policeman with the kids. All the parents hear out of you is jail, jail, jail.
Well, actually, what happened was that when I got out of the penitentiary, the kids got very interested in me and in my gun. You know, kids, I became the expert in the jail situation. And as time passed, they got it confused, and I became a detective.
Except the kids didn't get it confused. He hands out police badges from the post toasties boxes.
Oh, gosh. It's wonderful to hear you laughing about it.
Why? What'd you expect?
Well, the last thing I remember on this block was one word. Murderers. Remember that, Kate? Mrs. Hammond standing in front of our house yelling that word? She's still around, I suppose.
Oh, they're all still around there.
Don't listen to her. Every Saturday night, the whole gang is playing poker in this arbor. All the ones used to yell murder are taking my money now.
Oh, don't, Joe. She's a sensitive girl. Don't fool her. They do still remember your father, dear. It's different for him. He was exonerated. But your father's still in there. That's why I wasn't so enthusiastic about you coming, you know. I said to Chris, because you're a sensitive
Listen.
girl.
You do like I did, and you'll be all right. The day I come home, I get out of my car, but not in front of the house, on the corner. You should have been here, Annie. You too, Chris. You would have seen something. Everybody knew I was getting out that day, and the porches were loaded. Picture it now. None of them thought I was innocent. Story was, I pulled a fast one, getting myself exonerated. So, I get out of my car, and I walk down the street, but very slow, and with a smile. The beast. I was the beast. The man who sold cracked cylinder heads to the Army Air Force. The man who caused 21 P-40s to crash in Australia. Kid, walking down the street that day, I was guilty as hell. Except I wasn't. And there was a court paper in my pocket to prove I wasn't. So, I walked past the porches. The result? 14 months later, I had one of the best shops in the state again. A respected man again, bigger than ever.
Joe McGuts.
That's the only way you lick them is guts. The worst thing you did was to move away from here. You made it tough for your dad when he gets out. That's why I like to see him move back here right on this block.
How can they move back here?
Well, it ain't gonna end till they move back. Till people play cards with him and talk with him and smile with him. You play cards with a man, you know he can't be a murderer. That's why the next time you write him, I like you to tell him exactly what I said. You hear me?
Don't you hold anything against him?
Annie, I never believed in crucifying people.
Sure, but he was your partner. He dragged you through the mud.
Well, he ain't my sweetheart, but you gotta forgive, don't you?
Either, Kate, don't you feel?
The next time you write him.
I don't write him.
Well, every now and then.
No, I've never written to him. Neither has my brother. Say, do you feel this way too?
He murdered 21 pilots.
What the hell kind of talk is that?
That's no way to speak about a man.
Well, what else can you say? When they followed him, when they took him away, I followed him. I went to him every visiting day. I was crying all the time. Till the news came about Larry, and then I realized it's wrong to pity a man like that. Father or no father, there's only one way to look at him. He knowingly shipped out parts of a crashing airplane. How do you know Larry wasn't one of them?
Oh, I was waiting for that. Annie, as long as you're here, I'm going to ask you never to say that again.
You surprised me. I thought you'd be mad at
But
him.
your father did have nothing to do with Larry, nothing.
We can't know that.
As long as you're here,
But
get
Kate-
that out of your head.
Because.
That's all. That's enough. Come and get your tea.
Now look, Annie, you.
He's not dead, so there's no argument. Now come.
In a minute! Now look, Annie.
All right, Dad, are you gonna cut it out?
No, she doesn't feel
I'm
this
sick of the
way.
whole subject. Stop.
You want her to go on like this? Those P40s those cylinder heads went into P40s only. What's the matter with you? You know Larry never flew a P40.
So who flew those P-40s? Pigs?
Oh, the man was a fool, but don't make a murderer out of him. You got no sense. Look what it does to her. Look, you gotta appreciate what was going on in the shop, in the war. The both of you. It was a madhouse. Every half hour, the major calling us for cylinder heads. They were whipping us with the telephone. The trucks were hauling them away, hot damn near. Just try to see it human. See it human. All of a sudden, batch comes out with a crack. That happens. That's the business. Fine hairline crack. So he's a little man, your father. Always afraid of loud voices. What'll the major say? Half a day's production job. What'll I say? You know what I mean? Human. So he takes out his tools and he covers the cracks. That's bad. It's wrong. But that's what a little man does. If I could have gone in that day, I would have told him, junk him, Steve, we can afford him. But alone, he was afraid. That's a mistake. But it ain't murder. You mustn't feel that way about him. You understand? It ain't right.
Joe.
Annie, the day the news came about Larry, he was in the cell next to my dad. And he cried, Annie. He cried half the night.
Oh, he sure cried all night.
Annie, I do not understand.
All right, Dad, cut it out.
All right, don't yell at him. He just wants everybody happy.
That's my sentiments. Can you stand steak?
And champagne.
Ha ha. Now you're operating. I'll call Swanson's for a table. Ah, I like that girl. Wrap her up. You got nice legs, Annie. I want to see everybody drunk tonight. Look at him. He's blushing.
Drink your tea, Casanova. Great guy, isn't he?
You're the only one I know who loves his parents.
It kind of went out of style, didn't it?
That's all right. It's a good thing. You know, it's lovely here. The air is sweet.
So you're not sorry that you came then?
Well, not sorry, no, but I'm not gonna stay.
Why not?
Well, in the first place, your mother as much as told me to go.
Well, she just...
Well, you saw that, and then you've been kind of
What?
embarrassed ever since I got here.
Well, see, the trouble is I planned on sneaking up on you over the period of a week or so, but they take it for granted that we're all set.
Well, I knew they would. Your
How'd you-
mother, anyway.
How did you know?
From her point of view, why else would I come?
So do you want to? I mean, I guess you know this is why I asked you to come.
Yes, this is why I came.
And I love you. I love you a great deal. I love you. That's all I know how to say. I have no imagination. I'm embarrassing you. I didn't want to tell it to you here. I wanted to tell it somewhere where we'd never been, where we'd be brand new to each other. I just feel it's wrong here. This yard, this chair. I want you to be ready for me. I don't want to win you away from anything.
Chris, I've been ready a long, long time.
Then he's gone forever? You're sure?
Well, I almost got married 2 years ago.
Didn't you?
He started to write to me.
Felt something that far back?
Every day since.
Hey, why didn't you say anything?
I was waiting for you, Chris. Till then you never wrote, and when you did, what did you say? You sure can't be ambiguous, you know?
Annie, give me a kiss, Annie. kiss you. How long have I waited to kiss you?
Oh my God, I'll never forgive you. How could you wait all these years? All I've done is sit and wonder if I was crazy for thinking of you.
We're gonna live now, Annie. I'm gonna make you so happy.
Well, not like that, you're not. Like Larry's brother. Do it like you, Chris. What is it, Chris?
Nothing. Let's go for a drive. I want to be alone.
No, what is it, Chris? Your mother?
No, nothing like that.
Then what's wrong? Even in your letters, there was something ashamed.
I suppose I have been, but it's going from me.
Well, you've got to tell me.
I don't know where to start.
It wouldn't work this way.
It's wrapped up in so many other things. Oh. You remember that overseas I was in command of a company?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I lost it.
How many?
Just about all.
Gee.
And it takes a little time to toss that off, you know? Because they weren't just men. For instance, this one time, this kid came up to me and he gave me his last pair of dry socks. It's been raining for several days and he just put them right in my pocket. It's only a little thing, but it's the kind of guys I had. They didn't die, they killed themselves for each other. I mean that exactly. They're a little more selfish than they would be here today. And I got an idea of watching them go down. Everything was being destroyed, see, but it seemed to me that a kind of new thing was made, a kind of responsibility. Man for man. You understand me? To show that, to bring that onto the earth again, like some kind of monument, and every man would feel it standing there behind him, and it would make a difference to him. Then I came home, and it was incredible. There was no meaning in it here. The whole thing to them was kind of a bus accident. And I went to work with Dad in that rat race again, and I felt what you said, ashamed somehow. Because nothing had changed at all. Felt wrong to be alive, to open the bank book, to drive the new car, to see the new refrigerator, because you can take those things out of a war, but drive the new car, you've got to realize that it came from the love that a man can have for a man. And you've got to be just a little bit better because of that. Otherwise, what you have is really just loot. And there's blood on it. And I didn't want to take it. I guess that included you.
Do you still feel that way?
I want you now, man.
Because you mustn't feel that way anymore. Because you have a right to whatever you have. Everything, Chris. Do you understand that? To me, too. And the money. There's nothing wrong in your money. Your father put hundreds of planes in the air. You should be proud. A man should be paid for that.
Annie, I'm gonna make a fortune for you.
What'll I do with the fortune?
Hello? Yes? Sure. Annie.
you said it once.
Well, as long as I know it's Labor Day, from now on I'll wear a bell around my
Oh,
neck.
be so.
Yeah, George Bernard Shaw is an elephant.
George, you kissed it right out of my head. Annie, your brother's on the phone.
My brother?
Yeah, George, long distance.
What's the matter? Is anything wrong?
I don't know. Kate's talking to him. You better hurry. She'll cost him $5.
I wonder if you ought to tell your mother yet. I mean, I'm not very good at an argument.
We'll wait for him after dinner. It'll be tense. Just listen.
What are you telling her?
Go ahead. Dad, we're getting married. Well, don't you say anything?
I'm glad, Chris. It's just George is calling from Columbus.
Columbus.
Yeah. Did Annie say anything about him going to see his father today?
I don't think she knew anything about it.
Chris, you think you know her pretty good?
What kind of a question is that?
I'm just wondering. All these years, George don't go to see his father. Suddenly he goes, and she comes here.
What about it?
It's crazy, but it comes to my mind. She don't hold nothing against me, do she?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking. To his last day in court, the man blamed it all on me. And this is his daughter. I mean, if she was sent here to find out something.
Why? What is there to find out?
Why are you so excited, George? What happened there?
If they want to open up the case again for the nuisance value to hurt us.
Dad, how could you think
What
that?
did he say to you, for God's sake?
Yeah, it couldn't be. You know, it couldn't be.
Dad, you amaze me.
All right, forget it. Look. I want a clean start for you. I want a new sign over the plan. Christopher Keller Incorporated.
J.O. Keller's good enough.
We'll talk about it. I want to build you a house. Stone, with a driveway from the road. I want you to spread out, Chris. I want you to use what I made for you. With joy, Chris. Without shame, with joy.
I will, Dad.
Say it to me.
Why?
Because sometimes I think you're ashamed of the money.
Don't think like that.
Because it's good money, Chris. There's nothing wrong with that money.
I know that, Dad. You don't have to tell me that.
All right. Look, I'll go to work on Mother for you. We'll get her so drunk. We'll all get married. oh, there's gonna be a wedding, kid, like never was seen. Champagne, tuxedo.
Simply because when you get excited, you don't control yourself. Well, why did he tell you, for God's sake? All right, come then. Yes, they'll all be here. Nobody's running away from you. And try to get a hold of yourself, will you? All right. Goodbye.
Something happened?
He's coming here.
On the 7 o'clock, he's in Columbus. I told him it would be all right.
Sure, fine. Your father took sick?
Oh no, George didn't say he was sick. I don't know. I suppose it's something stupid, my brother. Let's go for a drive or something.
Sure. Dad, give me the keys.
Yeah.
Go through the park. It's beautiful right now.
Sure, yeah. Be back right away.
All right, see you.
Take your time. What does George want?
He's been in Columbus since this morning with Steve, and he's got to see Annie right away, he says.
What for?
I don't know. He's a lawyer now, Joe. George is a lawyer.
So what?
He never even sent a postcard to his father all these years since the war, not even a postcard.
So?
He takes an airplane from New York to see him. An airplane, Joe.
Well,
Why?
I don't read minds, do you?
What has Steve got to tell him that he has to take an airplane from New York?
What do I care what Steve's got to tell him?
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Be smart now, Joe. The boy is coming. Be smart.
Once and for all, did you hear what I said? I said I'm sure.
All right, Joe. Just be smart. Chris, did you have to put on good pants to do that?
You sure?
Ooh, you notice how there's more light in here now that thing's gone, huh?
Why aren't you dressing?
Oh, it's suffocating upstairs. Hey, I made a great drink for Georgie. He always liked great. Come and get some.
Come on. What's Dad sleeping so much for?
He's worried. You know, Dad. When he's worried, he sleeps. We're dumb people, Chris. Dad and I are stupid. We don't know anything. You'll have to protect us.
You're silly. What's there to be afraid of?
Till his last day in court, Steve never gave up the idea that Dad made him do it. If they open up the case again, I will never live through it.
George is just a damn fool, Mother. How can you take him seriously?
That family hate us, Chris. Maybe even Annie.
Oh, now, Mother.
You think because you like everyone that they like you.
All right, stop working yourself up.
When
Just leave it to
George-
me.
When George goes home, you tell her to go with him.
Don't worry about Annie.
Well, Steve's her father, too.
All right, you gonna cut it out? Now, come on.
Chris, you don't realize how people can hate. They can hate so much they'll tear your world to pieces.
Look, she's dressed already. I just gotta put on a shirt.
Are you feeling well, Kate?
What difference does it make, dear? There are people, you know, the sicker they get, the longer they live.
Nice.
We're going to tell her tonight.
Absolutely, don't worry about it.
I wish we could tell her now. I can't stand scheming. My stomach gets hard.
We're not scheming, we'll just get her in a better mood.
Joe, are you gonna sleep all day?
The only one who's relaxed is your father. He's fast asleep.
I'm relaxed.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. Yeah, look.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see? Just let me know when George comes, okay?
Okay.
Is my husband? Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
It's all right. I'm a little silly about the dark.
It is getting dark.
Are you looking for your husband?
As usual, he spends so much time here, they'll start charging him rent.
Oh, well, nobody was dressed, so he drove over to the depot to pick up my brother.
Oh, your brother's in?
Yeah, he ought to be here any minute now. Will you have a cold drink?
I will, thanks. My husband. Too hot to drive me to the beach. Men are like little boys, but the neighbors, they'll always cut the grass.
Oh, well, people like to do things for the Kellers. Been that way since I can remember.
It's amazing. So I guess your brother's come to give you away, eh?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose.
Well, he must be all doped up.
Well, it's always a problem getting yourself married, isn't it?
Well, that depends on your shape, and I don't see why you should have had any issues.
Best chances.
I bet. It's romantic. It's strange to me. Marry the brother of your sweetheart?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's mostly that whenever I needed somebody to tell me the truth, I always thought of Chris. When he tells you something, you know it's so. He relaxes me.
And he's got money. That's important, you know.
Oh, it wouldn't matter to me.
Oh, you'd be surprised. It makes all the difference. I married an intern on my salary, and that's that, because as soon as a woman supports a man, he owes her something. You can never owe someone without resenting them. That's true, you know.
Well, underneath, I think the doctor's very devoted.
Well, of course, but it's bad when a man sees bars in front of him. Jim thinks he's in jail all the time.
Oh,
That's why I've been intending to ask you a small favor, Anne. It's something very important to me.
well, certainly, if I can do it.
Oh, you can. Well, when you take up housekeeping, try to find a place away from here.
Are you fooling?
Oh, I'm very serious. Jim is unhappy with Chris around.
Well, how's that?
Well, Jim's a successful doctor, but he's got this idea he'd like to do medical research, discover things, you see?
Isn't that good?
Research pays $25 a week, minus laundering the hair shirt. You've got to give up your life to go into it.
How does Chris?
Well, Chris makes people want to be better than it's possible to be. He does that to people. It happens with Jim every couple of years. He meets a man and makes a statue out of him.
Well, maybe he's right. I mean, I don't mean Chris is a statue.
No, darling, you know he's not
Well, I
right.
don't agree with you. Chris is a very devoted and good person.
Let's face it, dear. Chris is working for his father, isn't he? He's taking money out of that business every single week in the year.
What of it?
Oh, you ask me what of
I
it.
certainly do ask you. Oh, you oughtn't cast aspersions like that. I'm surprised at you.
Oh, you're surprised at me.
He'd never take 5 cents out of that plant if there was anything wrong in it.
And you know it.
I know it. I resent everything you said.
You know what I resent, dear.
Please, I don't want to argue.
I resent living next to the Holy Family. It makes me look like a bum, you understand?
I can't do anything about that.
Well, who is he to ruin a man's life? Everybody knows Joe pulled a fast one to get out of jail.
That's not true.
Well, then go on and talk to people. Go on, talk to them. There's not a person on the block that doesn't know the truth.
That's a lie. People come here all the time for cards.
Oh, and so what? They give him credit for being smart. So do I. Got nothing against Joe. But if Chris wants people to put on their hair shirt, then he needs to take off his broadcloth. He is driving my husband nuts with that phony idealism of his, and I'm at the end of my rope on it. Oh, hello, darling. How's your mother?
I thought George came.
Oh, no, it's just us.
Oh, Susie, do me a favor. I'll go up and see if you can calm Mother down. She's all worked up.
Oh, she still doesn't know about you two.
She senses it, I guess. You know my mother.
Oh, yeah, she's sidekick.
Maybe there's something in the medicine chest.
Oh, I'll give her one of everything. Don't worry about Kate. A couple of drinks, dance her around a little. She'll love Anne, because you're the female version of him. Don't be alarmed, I said version.
Interesting woman, isn't she?
Yeah, she's very interesting.
She's a great nurse, you know, and she...
Are you still doing that?
Doing what?
Well, as soon as you get to know somebody, you find a distinction for them. How do you know she's a great nurse?
What's the matter, Anne?
The woman hates you. She despises you.
What's hit you?
Gee, Chris.
What happened here?
You never... Why didn't you tell me?
Tell you what?
She says they think Joe is guilty.
Difference doesn't make what they think.
I don't care what they think. I just don't understand why you took the trouble to deny it. You said it was all forgotten.
She didn't want you to think that there was anything wrong in you being here, that's all. I know a lot of people think my father's guilty. And I assume there might be some question in your mind.
Well, but I never once said I suspected him.
And no one says it.
Chris, I know how much you love him, but it could never happen this way.
Do you think I'd forgive him if he'd done that thing?
Not here under the blue sky, Chris. I turned my back on my father. If there's anything wrong here now, I
know that, Anne.
George is coming from Dad, and I don't think it's with a blessing.
I've got nothing to fear from George. He's welcome here.
Tell me that. Just tell me that.
Man is innocent, Anne. Remember, he was falsely accused once, and it put him through hell. How would you feel if you had to go through the same thing again? Annie, there's nothing wrong for you here. Believe me, kid.
Oh, Chris.
Every time I come out here, it looks like playland.
I thought you were going to go shave.
In a minute. Just woke up. I can't see now.
Well, you look shaved.
Oh, no. Gotta be just right tonight, Annie. Big night tonight. So, how does it feel to be a married woman?
Well, I don't know yet.
What is the matter? You slipping?
The Great Ridgway.
What is that, Rouet?
It's French.
Don't talk dirty.
You ever meet a bigger ignoramus?
Well, somebody's got to make a living.
That's telling him.
Yeah. I don't know. It's everybody's getting so goddamn educated in this country. There'll be nobody left to take out the garbage. It's getting so the only dumb ones left are the bosses.
Oh, you're not so dumb, Joe.
I know, but you go into our plant, for example. I got so many lieutenants, majors, and colonels, I'm ashamed to ask somebody to sweep the floor. No kidding, it's a tragedy. I'm afraid I'll insult somebody. I've been thinking, Annie. When your brother comes, I'd like you to brooch something to him.
Brooch.
What's the matter with brooch?
It's not English.
When I was in night school, it was brooch.
Well, in day school, it's brooch.
Don't surround me, will you? Seriously, Ann. You say he's not well, your brother. I've been thinking, why should he knock himself out in New York with that cutthroat competition when I got so many friends here? I'm very good friends with some big lawyers in town. I could set George up here.
Well, that's awfully nice of you, Joe.
No, it ain't nice of me, you know. I want you to understand me. I'm thinking of Chris. See, this is what I mean. When you get older, you want to feel like you accomplished something. The only thing I accomplished was my son. I ain't brainy. That's all I accomplished. Now, a year, 18 months from now, your dad will be a free man. Who's he going to come to, Annie? His baby. You. He'll come, old, angry, into your house.
That can't matter anymore, Joe.
I don't want that hate to come between us.
Well, I can only tell you that could never happen.
Oh, you're in love now, Annie. But I'm older, believe me, I know. A daughter is a daughter, and a father is a father, and it could happen. I like you and George to go to him in prison and tell him, Dad, when you get out, Joe wants to bring you into the business.
Well, you'd have him as a partner?
No partner. A good job. Well, I want him to know, Annie, while he's sitting there. I want him to know he's got a place waiting for him. It'll take away his bitterness. To know you got a place, it sweetens you.
Joe, you owe him nothing.
I owe him a good kick in the teeth, but he's your father.
Then kick him in the teeth. I don't want him in the plant. And that's that. You understand me? Plus, don't talk about him like that. People misunderstand you.
And I don't understand why she has to crucify the man.
Well, it's her father.
No,
She is-
no.
Yeah, why? What's it to you?
A father is a father! I better go shave. I didn't mean to yell at you, Annie.
Joe, let's just forget the whole thing.
Right. She's likable.
Shave, will you?
Right again.
I almost forgot. Hi, I promised to fix Kate's hair tonight. Did she call me yet?
Always a smile, huh, Lydia?
Well, sure, why not?
Well, come on up and comb my Katie's hair. Big night tonight. Make her beautiful.
I will.
Hey, that could be a song. Come on up and comb my Katie's hair. Come on up, 'cause she's my lady fair. Not bad for 1 year in night school.
What's the matter? Where is he?
Where's your mother?
Upstairs, dressing.
What happened to George?
I asked him to wait in the car. Now listen to me, both of you. Can you take some advice? Don't bring him in here.
Why?
Kate's in bad shape. You don't want to explode this in front of her.
Explode what?
You know why he's here. There is blood in his eye. Now drive him someplace and talk to him alone.
Don't be an old lady.
You know what? He's come to take her home. You know what that means? You know what that means. Now, take him someplace and fight it out alone.
I'll drive him somewhere.
No.
Chris, will you stop being an idiot?
Cut that out. No one's afraid of him here. Hey, George, how's the way to do? You do stand all the way up there.
Doctor said your mother isn't well, so...
Oh, so what? She'd want to see you, wouldn't she? Wait for you all afternoon.
George, this is filthy. Didn't you bring another shirt?
How about the beach, Jim?
It's too hot to drive.
How'd you get to the station? Zeppelin?
George, this is Mrs. Bayless. George, Mrs. Bayless.
Well, how do you do?
You're the people who bought our house, aren't you?
That's right. Come see what we've done with the place before you leave.
Liked it better the way it was.
He's Frank.
We'll see you later. Bella, take it easy.
Thanks for driving him. Bought some grape juice, George. Mother made it especially for you.
Good old Kate. Remembered my grape juice.
Yeah, sure. You drank enough of it in this house. How have you been, George? George, sit down.
Takes a minute. It seems impossible.
What?
I'm back here.
Say, you've gotten a little bit nervous, haven't you?
Yeah. Toward the end of the day. What are you? Big executive now.
Yeah, I just got a medium. How's the law?
I don't know. When I was studying in the hospital, it seemed sensible, but outside, doesn't seem to be much of a law. Trees got thick, didn't it? What's that?
Yeah, blew down last night. We had it there for Larry, you know.
Why, afraid you'll forget him?
Kind of a remark.
When did you start wearing a hat, Georgie?
Today. From now on, I decided to look like a lawyer anyway. Don't you recognize it?
Why? Where?
Father's. He asked me to wear it.
How is he?
Got little, smaller.
Smaller?
Yeah. Little man. It's a little man. It's what happens to suckers, you know. It's good I went to him in time. Another year, there'd be nothing left but his smell.
What's the matter, George? What's the trouble?
Trouble? Trouble is when you make suckers out of people once. You shouldn't try to do it twice.
What does that mean?
You're not married yet,
George,
are
will
you?
you sit down
Are
and
you
stop?
married
No,
yet?
I'm not married
You're
yet.
not going to marry
Well,
him.
why am I not going to
Because
marry?
his father destroyed your family.
Now look, George.
Cut it short, Chris. Tell her to come home with me. Let's not argue. You know what I've got to say.
George, you don't want to be the voice of God now,
I'm not
do you?
being the
Yeah,
voice
because that's
of
been the
God.
trouble your whole life, George. You dive into things. What kind of a statement is that to make? You're a big boy now.
I'm a big boy now.
Yeah, so don't come fooling in here with that. You got something to say, be civilized.
Don't civilize me!
Are you going to talk like a grown man, or aren't
Don't
you?
be angry. What's the matter? Oh, you kissed me when I left, and now
My
you...
life's turned upside down since then. I couldn't go back to work when you left it. I wanted to go to Dad and tell him you were to be married. It seemed impossible not to tell him. I loved you so much. Annie, we did a terrible thing. It can never be forgiven. Not even to send him a card at Christmas. I didn't see him once since I got home from the war. Annie, you don't know what was done to that man. You don't know what happened.
Of course I know.
You can't know, you wouldn't be here. Look, Dad came to work that day. The night foreman came to him and showed him the cylinder heads. They were coming out of the process with defects. There was something wrong with the process. So Dad went directly to the phone and called here and told Joe to come down right away. But the morning passed. No sign of Joe. So Dad called again. By this time he had over 100 defectives, the Army screaming for stuff, and Dad didn't have anything to show. So Joe told him. On the phone, he told him to weld. Cover up the cracks in any way he could and ship them out.
Are you through now?
I'm not through now. Dad was afraid. He wanted Joe there if he was going to do it, but Joe can't come down. He's sick. Sick. He suddenly gets the flu. Suddenly. But he promised to take responsibility. But you don't understand what I'm saying? On the telephone, you can't have responsibility. In a court, you can always deny a phone call, and that's exactly what he did. He knew he was a liar the first time. But in the appeal, they believed that rotten lie. Now Joe's a big shot and your father's a patsy. So what are you gonna do? Eat his food? Sleep in his bed? Answer me, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do, George?
He's too smart for me, I can't prove a phone call.
And how dare you come in here with that rot?
George, the court's...
The court didn't know father, but you do. You know him. You know in your heart Joe did it.
Lower your voice or I'll
She
blow you
knows.
out of here.
She knows.
Get him out of here. Get him.
George, I know everything you've said. Dad told that whole thing in court.
The court did not know him,
George,
Annie.
shh. But he'll say anything. George, you know how quick he can lie.
I'll ask you something. You look me in the eye when you answer me.
I'll look you in the
You
eye.
know your father.
I know him well.
And he's the kind of boss to let 121 cylinder heads be repaired and shipped out of his shop without even knowing about it.
Yeah, he's that kind of
And that's
boss.
the same Joe Keller who never left the shop without first going around to see that all the lights were out.
The same Joe Keller.
The same man who knows how many minutes a day his workers spend in the
The
toilet.
same man.
And my father, that frightened mouse who'd never buy a shirt without someone along. That man would dare do such a thing on his own.
On his own. And because he's a frightened mouse, that's another thing he'd do. Throw the blame on somebody else because he's not man enough to take it for himself. He tried it in court. It didn't work. But with a fool like you, it works.
Well, Chris, you're a liar to yourself.
Don't talk like that.
Tell me, George, what happened? Court record was good enough for you all these years. Why isn't it good now? Why did you believe it all these years?
You believed it. That's the truth, Chris. I believed everything because I thought you did. But today I heard it from his mouth. From his mouth, it's altogether different from the record. Anyone who knows him and knows your father will believe it from his mouth. Dad took everything we have. I can't beat that. But she's one item he's not going to grab. Get your things. Everything they have is covered with blood. Not the kind of girl that can live with that. Come on, get your thing.
You're not going to believe that, are you, Annie?
You know it's not true,
Well,
don't
how
you?
can he tell you? It's his father. None of these things ever even crossed your mind.
Yeah, sure, they cross my mind. Anything can cross your
He
mind.
knows, Annie. He knows.
The voice of God.
Why isn't your name on the business? Explain that to her.
What has that got to do with it?
Annie, why isn't his name on it?
Even when I don't own it.
Who are you kidding? Who gets it when he dies? Open your eyes, Annie. You know the both of them. Isn't that the first thing they do the way they love each other? J.O. Keller and son. So I'll settle it. You want to settle it or are you afraid to?
What does that mean?
Let me go up and talk to your father. In 10 minutes, you'll have the answer. Are you afraid of that answer?
I'm not afraid of the answer. I know the answer, but my mother isn't well. And you're not going to start a fight
You're
here
gonna
now.
talk to
You're
her?
not
No,
going
what
to start
more
a fight
do you
here.
want?
Call is coming.
You won't say anything.
You'll
now.
go soon, I'll call a
You're
cab.
coming with me.
Don't mention marriage because Mother told
Worry
me. You
with
understand?
me.
Don't, George.
Georgie?
You're not going to start anything here next week. Shh.
Georgie, oh.
Hello, Kate.
They made an old man out of you. Look, you're great.
I know.
I told you when you went away not to try for medals. Oh,
I didn't try, Kate. They made it very easy for me.
go on, you're all alike. Look at him. Why did you say he was fine? He looks like a ghost.
I feel all right.
I'm sick just to look at you. What's the matter with your mother? Doesn't she feed you?
Oh, he just hasn't any appetite.
If he ate in my house, he'd have an appetite. Pity your husband. Anyway, sit down. I'll make you a sandwich.
No, I'm really not hungry.
You know, it breaks my heart to see what happened to all the children. How we worked and planned for you, and you end up no better than us.
You didn't change at all. You know that, Kate.
None of us have changed, Georgie. We all love you. Joe was just talking about the day you were born. Remember, the water was cut off? Strangers were carrying water from a block away. Anyone would have thought the whole neighborhood was on fire. Annie, why didn't you give him a drink?
Well, I offered it to him.
Oh, I offered it to him. Give it to him. And now you're going to sit here and drink your drink and look like something.
Kate, I feel hungry already.
She can turn Mahatma Gandhi into a heavyweight.
Listen, To hell with the restaurant. I've got a ham in the icebox, some frozen strawberries, avocado.
Oh, well, I'll help you.
The train leaves at 8:30.
Oh, you're leaving?
No, Mother, she's not.
You hardly got here, Georgie. Give yourself a chance to get acquainted again.
Sure, you don't even know us anymore.
But Chris, if they can't stay.
No, Mother, it's a question to George.
Wait a minute,
See, he
Chris.
planned on. If you want to go now, I'll drive you to the station. But if you stay, no arguments while you're here.
What arguments? Why must we argue? Georgie and us don't have any arguments. How can we have any arguments, Georgie? We all got hit by the same lightning. How can you... Did you see what happened to Larry's tree? It's amazing. While I was dreaming of him in the middle of the night, the wind came
Hey!
along and...
Georgie? Georgie.
Hello, Laffy. What'd you do, grow?
I'm a big girl now.
Yeah, look what you can do with a hat.
Did you make that?
In 10 minutes.
I only rearranged it.
You still make your own clothes.
Ain't she classy? All she needs now is a Russian wolfhound.
Yeah, but it feels like somebody's sitting on my head.
Oh, no, it's beautiful, Kate.
Oh, she's a genius, this one. You should have married her. She can feed you.
Stop that, Kate.
Say, didn't I hear you had a baby?
Oh, you don't hear too well. She has 3 babies.
Your own kid, 3?
Yeah, it was just 1, 2, 3. You've been away a long time, Georgie.
Yeah, I'm beginning to realize it.
Yeah, the trouble with you guys is you think too much.
Well, we think too.
Yeah, but not all the time.
They never took Frank, eh?
No, he was always the ahead of the draft.
Oh, it's amazing. When they were calling boys 27, Frank was just 28, and then they made it 29, and he was, no, just 28, and then he made it 29. That's why he took up astrology, you see. It's all in when you're born. Just goes to show.
What does it go to show?
Oh, don't be so intelligent. Some superstitions are very nice. Oh, did Frank finish Larry's horoscope?
Oh, I'll ask him now. I'm going in.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like to see my babies? Come on.
I don't think so, Lydia.
All right. Good luck to you, George.
Thanks. And to you. And Frank.
Hey, Frank!
She got pretty, huh?
Very pretty.
She's beautiful, you damn fool. What happened to you? Because you wouldn't listen to me. I told you to marry that girl and stay out of the war.
She used to laugh too much.
Yeah, and you didn't laugh enough. While you were out getting mad about fascism, Frank was getting into her bed.
Won the war, Frank.
All the battles.
The day they started the draft, I told you you loved that girl.
And true love hath no man.
See, I'm smarter than any of you.
She's wonderful.
And now you're going to listen to me, George. You are big principals. Eagle Scouts, all 3 of you. And now what have I got? A tree. And this one, when the weather gets cold, he can't even stand on his feet. And that guy next door, Frank, that big dope, who never eats anything but Andy Gump and bangs on his bongo drums. He's got 3 kids and his house paid off. Stop being a philosopher. Look after yourself. And you know, do what George was saying. Come back here, Joe. Joe will help you get set. And I'll find your girl who'll put a big smile on your face.
Joe. Joe wants me here.
Well, he asked me to tell you. I think it's a good idea.
Yes, certainly. Why must you make believe you hate us, George? You don't hate us. Is that one of your principles that you gotta hate us? No, you don't hate us. I know you. You can't fool me. I diapered you. Do you remember Mr. Marcy's daughter?
Oh, she's got you hooked already.
Oh, you look her up, Georgie. Oh, she is the most beautiful thing.
Hey, she's got warts, George.
She does not have warts. Well, she has a little beauty mark on her chin.
And 2 on her nose.
You'll remember her father is a retired police inspector.
Sergeant George.
He's a very nice man.
Hey, he looks like a gorilla.
Well, he never shot anybody.
Wow! Look who's here. George, good to see you.
How are you, Joe?
So-so. Getting old. You coming out to dinner with us?
No, I gotta be back in New York.
I'll call a cab for you.
Too bad you can't stay. Sit down. He looks fine.
He looks terrible.
That's what I said. You look terrible. I wear the pants, she beats me with the belt.
Saw your factory on the way from the station. Looks like General Motors.
I wish it was General Motors, but it ain't. Sit down, George. Sit down. Oh, you finally went to see your father, I hear.
This morning.
Uh-huh.
So what kind of stuff do you make now?
Oh, a little of everything. Pressure cookers, an assembly for washing machines. Got a nice flexible plant now. So how'd you find Dad? Feel all right?
No. He's not well, Joe.
Not his heart again, is it?
Everything, Joe. It's his soul.
Uh-huh.
George, how about seeing what they did with your house?
Leave him be.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him.
That's the way they do, George. Little man makes a mistake, they hang him by his thumbs. Big ones become ambassadors. I wish you'd have told me you were going to see Dad.
I didn't know you were interested.
Well, in a way I am. I'd like him to know, George. I'd like him to know, as far as I'm concerned, anytime he wants, he's got a place with me. I would like him to know that.
He hates your guts, Joe. Don't you know that?
I imagined it, but that can change too.
Steve was never like that.
He's like that now. He'd like to take every man that made money in the war and put him up against the wall.
They'll need a lot of bullets.
And he better not get any.
That's a sad thing to hear.
Why? What'd you expect him to think of you?
It's a sad thing to hear he hasn't changed. And all the time I've known him, 25 years, the man never learned how to take the blame. You know that, George.
Well,
But you do know it. Because the way you come in here, it don't look like you remember it. Like in 1937, when we had the shop up on Flood Street. And he damn near blew us all up with that heater he left running for 2 days without water. He wouldn't admit that was his fault either. You know that. Well, I'm just mentioning it, George, because it's just one of a lot of things. Like when he gave Frank that money for oil stock.
yeah, I know.
Well, it's good to remember these things. The way he cursed Frank when the stock went down. To hear him tell it, Frank was a swindler, and all the man did was give him a bad tip.
I know these things.
Well, then remember them. Remember them. There's some people in this world, George, rather see everybody hung before they'll take the blame. You understand me, George?
Cab's on its way. Would you like to wash?
Oh, why must you go? Get them midnight, Georgie.
Yeah, you'll have dinner with
Well,
us.
how about it? Well, why not? We're eating at the lake. We can have a swell time.
All right.
Oh, now you're talking.
I got a shirt that'll go right with that suit.
Oh, size 15 and a half, right, George?
Is Lydia, or Frank and Lydia coming?
Oh, I'll get you a date that will make her
No, I don't want a date.
Oh, I know who. Charlotte Tanner.
Yeah, call Charlotte.
Yeah,
That's
call her
right.
up.
All right, you go on in and pick out a shirt and tie.
I never felt at home anywhere but here. I feel Kate, you look so young. You didn't change at all. It rings an old bell. You too, Joe. You're amazingly the same. The whole attitude.
Say. I ain't got time to be sick.
Yeah, he hasn't been laid up in 15 years.
Except for my flu during the war.
Oh, yeah, your flu.
My
yeah.
flu when I was sick during the
I
war.
remember your flu during the war. He wanted to go to the shop and he couldn't get out of the bed. I thought it was pneumonia.
Why'd you say he's never been sick?
Listen, kid, I know just how you feel. If I could have gone in that day, I never would have let Dad touch those cylinder heads.
She said you've never been sick.
No, I said he was sick,
Annie,
George.
didn't you hear her say?
Do you remember every time you're sick?
I'd remember pneumonia. Especially if I got it just the day my partner was going to patch up cylinder heads. What happened that day, Joe?
Kate!
Oh, Frank! Did you see George?
Lydia told me. I'm glad to. You'll have to pardon. I have something amazing for you. I finished Larry's horoscope.
Oh, you'll be interested in this, George. He knows so much he can tell what's going on with the stars.
Hey, George, the girl's on the phone.
Oh no, he finished Larry's horoscope.
Frank, can't pick a better time than this?
The greatest men who ever lived believed in the stars.
Stop filling her head with this junk.
It's a jump to feel that there's a higher power than ourselves. I studied the stars of his life. I won't argue with you. I'm telling you, somewhere in this world, your brother's alive.
Why isn't it possible, Chris?
Because it's insane.
Just a minute now. Let me tell you something, and you can do as you please. Just let me say it. He was supposed to have died on November 25th, but November 25th was his favorable day.
Mother.
Listen to him.
It was a day when everything good was shining on him. The kind of day he should have married on. You can laugh at a lot of it. I can understand you laughing. But the odds are 1,000,000 to 1 that a man won't die on his favorable day. That's known. That's known, Chris.
Why isn't it possible? Why isn't it possible, Chris?
Don't you understand what she's saying? She just told you to go. What are you waiting for now?
Nobody can tell her to go.
Oh, thank you, Frank. Thank you. Could you please tell the cab to wait when you go out?
Sure thing.
They'll be right out, driver.
She's not leaving, Mother.
Oh, I packed your bag.
What?
I packed your bag. All you have to do is close it.
I'm not closing anything. He asked me here and I'm staying till he tells me to go. Till Chris tells me.
That's all.
You heard her say it. He's never been sick.
Chris, he misunderstood.
He simply told your father to kill pilots and covered himself in bed.
You better answer, man. You better answer him. Get out of here, George.
You tell me to go. I want to hear you tell me.
Go, George. Georgie, please. Georgie, don't take it that way. Please, Georgie. Georgie.
What do you mean you packed her bag? How dare you pack her bag?
Chris,
How dare you pack her bag?
she doesn't belong here.
Then I don't belong here.
She's Larry's girl.
And he's dead, and I'm his brother, and I'm marrying his girl.
Never in this world.
Have you lost your
Oh,
mind?
you've got nothing to say.
Oh, I've got plenty to say. 3.5 years, you've been talking like a maniac.
Nothing. You hear nothing. And now I say, he's coming back, and we all have to wait.
Mother.
Wait.
How
Wait.
long? How long?
Till he comes. Forever and ever until he comes.
Mother, I'm going ahead with it.
Chris, I have never said no to you in my life. But now I say no.
You'll never let him go until I do it.
I'll never let him go, and you'll never let him go.
I've let him go. Let him go a long time ago.
Then let your father go.
She's out of her mind.
Absolutely. Chris, your brother's alive. Because if he's dead, your father killed him. Do you understand me now? Slap a shoe then. Your brother is alive. God does not let a son be killed by his father. Now you see, don't you? Now you see.
She's out of her mind.
And you did it?
He never flew a P-40.
The others?
She's out of her mind.
Dad, you did it?
He never flew a P-40. What's the matter with you?
You did it. So the others?
What's the matter with you? What the hell's the matter with you?
How could you do that? How?
What's the matter with you?
Dad, you killed 21 men.
What? Killed?
Yeah, you killed them. You murdered them.
How could I kill anybody?
Dad.
I didn't kill anybody.
Then explain it to me. I want to know what you did. Explain it to me or I'll tear you to pieces.
Don't, Chris, don't.
I want to know what you did. You had 120 cracked engine heads. Now what did you do?
If you're gonna hang me.
I'm listening. God almighty, I'm listening.
You're a boy. What could I do? I'm in business. A man is in business. 120 cracked, you're out of business. You got a process, the process don't work, you're out of business. You put 40 years into a business and they knock you out in 5 minutes. What the hell is it to them? What could I do? Let them take 40 years? Let them take my life away? I never thought they'd install them, I swear to God. I thought they'd spot them before anybody took off.
And why did you ship them out?
I thought by the time they spotted them that I'd have the process going again and I could show them that they needed me, but weeks passed and I got no kickback. So I was going to tell them.
Then why didn't you tell them?
It was too late. Paper, it was all over the front page. They came in with handcuffs into the shop. What could I do? Chris, I did it for you. It was a chance I took, and I took it for you. Chris, I'm 61 years old. When would I get another chance to make something for you? Chris, 61 years old, you don't get another chance, do you?
You even knew that they wouldn't hold up in the air.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, but you were going to warn them not to use them.
Oh, that doesn't mean it.
It means you knew that they'd crash.
It don't mean
It
that.
means you thought that they'd crash.
I was afraid maybe.
You were afraid, maybe. God in heaven, what kind of man are you? Kids were hanging in the air by those heads. You knew that.
For you, Chris, a business.
For me. For me. Where do you live? Where have you come from? For me. I was dying every day. You were killing my boys and you did it for me? For me. What do you think I was thinking of? The goddamn business? Is that as far as your mind can go? The business? What is that? The world. The business. What the hell do you mean you did it for me? What are you? You're not even an animal. No animal kills its own. I'll rip the tongue out of your mouth. Jesus God, what must I do to you?
Chris! My Chris! Indy.
Any news?
No news.
What are you doing up? Why don't you go to bed, dear?
I'm waiting for Chris. You don't have to worry about me, Jim. I'm perfectly all right.
But it's almost 2 o'clock.
I can't sleep. Did you have an emergency?
Someone had a headache and thought he was dying. Half my patients are quite mad. You know, nobody knows how many people are running around loose and they're cracked as coconuts. Money. Money, 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 money. Oh, you say it long enough and it doesn't mean anything. How I wish I could be around when that day comes.
You're so childish, you know, Jim. Sometimes you are.
Kate, what happened?
I told you he had an argument with Joe. He got in the car and he drove away.
What kind of argument?
An argument. Joe was crying like a baby before.
What did they argue about, Ann?
Oh, imagine. Not Anne. She's been in that room all night since he left. All night in that room.
What did Joe do? Tell him?
Tell him what?
Kate, don't be afraid. I know.
How?
I've always known. It occurred to me a long time ago.
Oh. You know, Jim, I've always thought that in the back of his mind, somehow Chris almost knew, and I never thought it would be such a shock to him.
Chris would never know how to live with a thing like that. It takes a certain talent for lying. You have it, and I do, but not me.
What? Do you mean he's not coming back?
No, he'll come back, Kate. We all come back. These private little revolutions always die. Compromise is always made. In a peculiar way, Frank is right. Every man does have his star. The star of one's honesty. They spend their lives groping for it, but once it's out, it never lights again. I don't think he went very far, Kate. I think he probably just wanted to be alone to watch his star go out.
Oh, just as long as he comes back, Jim.
I wish he wouldn't, Kate.
What?
One year, I simply took off, went to New Orleans. For 2 months, I lived on bananas and milk, and I studied a certain disease. It was beautiful. Then she came and she cried, and I went back home with her. But now I live in the usual darkness. Can't find myself anymore. Sometimes I can't even remember the kind of man that I wanted to be. I'm a good husband. Chris is a good son. He'll come back. I think he probably went over to the park. I'll go and look around for her. Joe put her to bed. This is no good for what she's got.
What does he want here?
His friend is not home.
I don't like him mixing in so much.
It's too late, Joe. He knows.
How does he know?
He guessed a long time ago.
I don't like that.
What you don't like?
Yeah, what I don't like.
You can't bull yourself through this one, Joe. You've got to be smart now. This thing, it's not over yet.
What is she doing up there? She don't come out of the room.
No, what is she doing? All night in that room. Come on, sit down. Stop being mad. If you want to live, you're going to have to figure your life out. Oh.
She don't know, does she?
Well, she saw Chris storming out of here. It's one-on-one. She knows how to add.
Maybe I ought to talk to her?
Don't ask me.
Well, then who do I ask? But I don't think she'd do anything about it.
You're asking me again.
I'm asking you. What am I, a stranger? I thought I had a family here. What happened to my family?
You have a family. I'm simply telling you I have no strength to think anymore.
You have no strength. As soon as there's trouble, you have no strength.
All your life, whenever there's trouble, you yell at me and you think that settles it.
What do I do? Tell me. Talk to me. What do I do?
Well, Joe, I've been thinking this way, see. I think, if he comes back...
What do you mean, if he comes back? He's coming back.
I think you ought to sit him down and explain yourself. You ought to make it very clear that you know that you did a terrible thing, because if he could see that you realize what you did, you see?
What ice does that cut?
I mean, if he saw that you were willing to pay for what you did.
How can I pay?
Tell him you're willing to go to jail.
I'm willing to...
You wouldn't go. He wouldn't ask you to go. But if he could see that you realized what you did and that you wanted to pay for what you did, maybe he could forgive you.
Forgive me for what?
Joe, you know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean. You wanted money, so I made money. What must I be forgiven? You wanted money, didn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't want it that way.
I didn't want it that way either. What difference does it make what you want? I spoiled the both of you. I should have put him out when he was 10, like I was put out, make him earn his keep. And then he'd learn how a buck was made in this world. Forgive me. I could live on a quarter a day myself, but I've got a family.
Joey, don't excuse it that you did it for the family.
Well, it's got to excuse it.
There's something bigger than the family to
Nothing
him.
is bigger.
There is to him.
There is nothing he could do that I wouldn't forgive. Because he's my son. Because I'm his father and he's my son.
Joe, I'm telling you.
Nothing is bigger. You understand? I'm his father and he's my son. And if there's something bigger than that, I'll put a bullet in my head.
Oh, now you stop that.
Well, you heard me. Now you know what to tell him. But he wouldn't do that, would he? He wouldn't put me away, would he?
Joe, he loved you and you broke his heart.
Oh yeah, but put me away.
Well, I don't know. I don't think I know him anymore. I mean, they say in the war he was such a killer. Here, he's afraid of mice. I don't know him. I don't know what he'll do.
Goddamn, if Larry was alive, he wouldn't act like this. He understood how the world is made. He listened to me. To him, the world had a 40-foot front and it ended at the building line. This one, everything bothers him. You make a deal and you overcharge 2 cents and his hair falls out. You don't understand money. It came too easy. Oh. Larry, that was a boy we lost. Larry. Oh, Larry. What am I gonna do, Kate?
Don't worry, Joe. Nothing's gonna happen.
It was for you, Kate, for the both of you. That's all I ever lived for.
I know, darling. I know.
Why do you stay up? I'll tell you when he comes.
You didn't have supper, did you? Mother, go make her something.
Sure,
Oh, never mind, Kate. I'm all right. There's something I want to tell you. I'm not going to do anything about it.
See, she's a good girl.
Oh,
See?
I'll do nothing about Joe, but you're going to do something for me. You made Chris feel guilty with me. Whether you wanted to or not, you've crippled him in front of me. I'd like you to tell him Larry's dead, and that you know it. You understand me, Kate? I'm not going out of here alone again. There's no life for me that way. I want you to set him free, and then I promise it will go away and everything will end, and that's all.
You'll do that. You'll tell him.
I know what I'm asking, Kate. You had 2 sons, but you've only got 1 now.
You'll tell him.
And you've got to say it to him so he knows you mean it.
My dear, if Larry were dead, it wouldn't depend on my words to tell Chris about it. Because the night he gets into your bed, his heart will triumph. Because he knows and you know. Till his dying day, he'll wait for his brother. No, my dear, no such thing. You're going in the morning, and you're going alone. That's your life. That's your lonely life.
Larry's dead, Kate.
Don't speak
I
to
said
me.
he's dead, I know. He crashed off the coast of China November 25th. His engine didn't fail him, but he died, I know.
How did he die? You're lying to me. How did he die?
I loved him! You know I loved him. Would I have looked at anyone else if I wasn't sure? That's enough for you.
What's enough for me? What are you talking
Oh,
about?
you're hurting my wrist.
What are you talking
Joe,
about?
go in the house.
Why?
Please. Go.
You let me know when he comes.
What's that?
Sit down. First, you've got to understand, when I came, I had no idea that Joe... I had nothing against him or you. I came to get married. I hoped that... Well, I didn't bring this to hurt you. I thought I would only show it to you if there was no other way to settle Larry in your mind.
Larry?
Well, he wrote it to me just before he... Kate, you're making me do this. I'm not trying to hurt you, Kate. I've been so lonely, Kate. I can't leave here alone again. Oh, just Kate, remember? Just remember, Kate.
Oh my God.
Kate, I told you 100 times. Why didn't you believe me, Kate? Kate, please, I told you 100 times.
Oh my
Kate,
God.
dear.
Oh my God.
Kate, dear, please. Kate, I'm so sorry, Kate. Kate, I'm so sorry.
Larry.
What's the matter?
Where were you? Oh, you're all perspired. Where were you?
Just drove around a little. Thought you'd be gone by now.
Where do I go? I have nowhere to go.
Where's Dad?
Inside, lying down.
Sit down, both of you. I'll say what there is to say.
I didn't hear the car.
I left it in the garage.
Tim is out looking for you.
Mother, I'm going away. There's a couple of firms in Cleveland. I think I can get a place. I'm going away for good.
Oh.
What you thinking, Annie? You're right. I'm yellow. I was made yellow in this house because I suspected my father and I did nothing about it. But if I'd known that night when I came home what I know now, he'd be in the district attorney's office by now and I'd have brought him there. If I look at him, all I'm able to do is cry.
What do you mean? What more could you do?
I could jail him. I could jail him. If I were human anymore. I'm like everyone else now. I'm practical. You made me practical.
But you have to.
The cats in the alley are practical. The bums who ran away when we were fighting were practical. Only the dead ones weren't practical. How unpractical. I spat on myself. I'm going away. I'm going away now.
Chris, I'm coming with you.
No.
I don't ask you to do anything about
Do.
Joe. I swear I never
Or you
will.
always will.
Then do what you have to do.
Why? What is there to do? I've looked all night for a reason to make him suffer.
There's reason, Chris. There's
What?
reason.
Do I raise the dead when I put him behind bars? Then what'll I do it for? We used to shoot a man that acted like a dog, but there was honor there and you were protecting something. But this is the land of the great big dogs. And you don't love a man, you eat him. It's the principle, the only one we live by. It just happened to kill a few people this time, that's all. That's the way the world is. How do I take it out on him? What sense does that make? This is a zoo! A zoo!
You know what he's got to do. Tell him.
No, let him go.
No, I won't let him go.
No,
Tell him what he's got to do.
No.
I will.
No.
What's the matter with you? I want to talk to you.
Got nothing to say to you.
I want to talk to to you.
Don't do that, Dad. I'm gonna hurt you if you do that.
What
There's
exactly is the
There's
matter?
nothing to say.
What exactly is the matter? You got too much money? Is that what bothers you?
Yeah, it bothers me.
Well, if you can't get used to it, then throw it away. You hear me? Take every cent and give it to charity. Throw it in the sewer. Does that settle it? In the sewer, that's all. You think I'm kidding? I'm telling you what to do. If it's dirty, then burn it. What's the matter? Why can't you tell me?
Doesn't matter what I want to do. It's what you want to do.
What should I want to do? Jail? You want me to go to jail? If you want me to go, then tell me. If that's where I belong, then say so. What's the matter? Why can't you say it? You say everything else to me. Say that! I'll tell you why you can't tell me. Because you know I don't belong there. Because you know. Who worked for nothing in that war? When they work for nothing, I'll work for nothing. Did they send a gun or a truck out of Detroit before they got their price? Is that clean? Dollars and cents, nickels and dimes. War and peace, it's nickels and dimes. What's clean? Half the goddamn country's got to go if I go. That's why you can't tell me.
That's exactly why.
What? And why am I bad? Why?
I know you're not worse than most men, but I thought you were better. I never saw you as a man. I saw you as my father. I can't look at you this way. I can't look at myself.
No,
No, we got the letter read it, Larry. He wrote it to me the day he died.
no, it's not for you, Chris. No. Joe, go away.
Why did they say
Go
that?
away.
No, why is
Go
there?
to the street.
Why?
Go to the street. Chris, please. Please don't tell him, please. Oh no.
3.5 years. Talking. You read this, and you tell me what you got to do. This is how he died. Now you tell me where you belong.
Chris, a man can't be a Jesus in this world.
Oh, I know all about the world. I know the whole crap story. You read this, and you tell me what a man's got to be. My dear Anne, are you listening? He wrote this the day he died. Don't cry, listen. My dear Anne, it's impossible to put down the things I feel, but I've got to tell you something. Yesterday they flew in a load of papers from the States and I read about Dad and your father being convicted. I can't express myself. I can't tell you how I feel. I can't bear to live anymore. Last night I circled the base for 20 minutes before I could bring myself in. How could he have done that? Every day 3 or 4 men never come back and he sits back there doing business. I don't know how to tell you what I feel. Can't face anybody. Going out on a mission in a few minutes. They'll probably report me missing. If they do, I want you to know that you mustn't wait for me. I'll tell you, Anne, if I had him here now, I could kill him. Now blame the world. Do you understand that letter?
I think I do. Get the car. I'll put on my jacket.
Oh, where? Why are you going? No, you'll sleep, darling.
No,
You'll sleep. Why are you going?
I can't sleep here. I'll feel better if I go.
Don't be foolish. Larry was your son too, wasn't he? You know he'd never tell you to do this. Never.
And what is this? If it's not talent, sure, he was my son. But I think to him, they were all my sons. And I guess they were. I guess they were. I'll be right there.
Chris, you're not going to take him.
I'm taking him.
Oh, it's up to you. If you tell him to stay,
Nobody
he'll
can
stay.
stop him now.
Please tell him. No. What are you trying to do? Kill him? He'll never live if he goes to prison.
I thought you read this.
The war is over, Chris. It's over.
Then what was Larry to you? A stone that fell in the water? It's not enough for him to be sorry. Larry didn't kill himself to make you and Dad sorry.
What more can we be?
You can be better. Once and for all, you can know that there's a universe outside it, and you're responsible to it. And unless you know that, you threw away your son because that's why he died. Find Jim.
God.
Joe! Oh my God, Joe! Joe! Joe!
Our family is not so fucked up.
I see.